Happy Halloween, everybody. Let's get nasty here. And we have the Median XL 2.10 patch notes that dropped. We're going to do a review. We're going to do some analysis, some breakdown, some spitballing, some theory crafting here, and see what's going on with this next patch. And we're dressing up because it's Halloween. So let's have some fun and get into the patch notes here. I'm gonna take this shit off though. It's hot, bro. Much better. All right, so this is just old clear mind build. We're gonna get to the. Oh my goodness, am I dosing myself? There we go. So we're gonna do the patch notes, and then we're gonna look at the leaks and previews, and talk about what we have going on. Okay. So, some of the best for first actually is we have an in-game loot filter, which is wild for a 20-year-old game, but the devs figured out how to get one in there, so it's cool. It's really customizable. There's a lot of things you can do with it. You can have like different loadouts, kind of like let's see, like Last Epoch has, or things like that. And I think there's other things you can do that you can't do in like D2 stats and things like that. But no, don't recall those off the top of my head. The notable thing that I kind of don't like, I like everything about it, it's awesome, is it's too loud, is the fact that it doesn't have notifier in it yet in terms of the sounds. It does have a notifier, it doesn't have sounds. So, you know, I kind of AFK when I play sometimes, so not having the sound notifier is going to be a weird adjustment. You could, but there's two things that go with that. You could theoretically have your D2 stats like separate with the filter, and just have the D2 stats for the sounds. You could still just use D2 stats, except you can't anymore. So the key thing, I haven't explored it yet, and maybe I'll make a loot filter video going over it, but the D2 stats dev looks like he posted it was on the forums today about some sort of integration with this loot filter. So that's definitely worth checking out. Yeah, I mean, as I'm probably going to use both, but because I like the sounds, but we'll figure out how that goes. But we'll get to that in a different video. So this is huge. This is such a big change that I think people may not understand the gravity of. This works for like fire elementals for summons on. You can use it on cold sork, elementals. I don't play a lot of minions, but I know you normally have to have a separate stat for minion pairs, and most didn't. So this is huge for enabling minions damage, and really helps with minions viability in Endgame, because they're not the best Endgame builds, or they weren't, but this definitely does so much work for it. You can actually make minion builds out of minions that you couldn't really build them before because they didn't have support. So this is huge, and it's crazy that they did this. So that's something to note, minion enjoyers. Let's see what else we got. Oh, that's already been there. I'm glad the anomaly is there, though, because I'm kind of tired of getting insta-gib off screen in labs. Trophy rework. So this is probably one of the you know hugest things of the season is that you no longer, thank God, have to run 60 different instances of a dungeon to get a trophy with bad luck protection. Now there is generally one sort of challenge, and you complete the challenge and then you keep the charm. There is, I think it says here too, there's a little thing that appears on your screen, kind of in your UI, maybe it's like down here next to where your buffs are, and it's like a gold looking circle. And as long as that circle is active when you're in the a dungeon area with the charm, say you kill the boss, right? You don't know if you completed the challenge or not. After you kill the boss, if that circle is still active, then you didn't fail the challenge. You fail the challenge if that circle goes away. So if you already have the charm and you're doing something and you're unsure, if that circle goes away, you can dip out, peace out, start a new run earlier. And I think this is a huge change. I think running so many dungeons was just so frustrating, especially for things like Bone Pile. Like, no one wants to do 60 zombie runs. So there's cool things, tons of cool things with this. I think this is a huge change to QL and Endgame grind. I will add that it is of my opinion, though, that some of these charms are a little rough to do on melee, or sorry, the trophies. Not all of them. I'm not really gonna say which are or which aren't, but there's just a couple that it's doable on melee, but you're gonna have a bad time. So I would just note that for your build, if you're picking your build and you're picking melee. I have not tested it, but I think it's theoretically possible that you could have someone come and do the challenge for you, right? Like you pay for someone to do the trophy challenge for you, like in your game. Because I believe class locks it. So you either do that or you can, I guess, sell a class lock one based on whatever class is popular. It's probably gonna be flooded and cheap, but just want you guys to know that for if you decide to play a melee build. But this feels great. Huge buff to my time and sanity, and yours too. K through K. The density upgrade is good because we'll touch on it later, but that's where the Osco gloves drop. So High Heavens, Heavenly Souls drop less. It is what it is. I mean, that was never the problem with kind of running this thing. The problem with the dungeon is like getting your angelics and having to find 3 of each to do the recipe and things like that. So that's whatever. But do hold on to those Heavenly Souls because you can use them for something later, and if we'll cross it if I see it. TA trophy. So to do this, just to note, right, you want to pull the ice one as close to the thunder one as you can. Well, they're kind of a bitch to drag, but it's really a far run if you try killing the ice one in the middle of the area and go to the thunder. So make sure to pull them together or something, or you're going to be pulling your hair out. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. This is because trophy fragments don't exist. Labs. Dude, I never run Lazarus. That's whatever. This. Wait, I thought this was. I didn't know this was in the patch notes. This is cool. I'm not gonna spoil anything in here. They've showed some of the scrolls. We'll go over the ones that they've seen. It's not easy, that's for sure. I'll leave it there. It's not easy, but you can get actually SUs and sets and E-runes pretty consistently from there. So if you're having trouble finding something somewhere else, you can get them from the chest. I will say that you are going to want to do this event when possible because it's very rewarding. Mirror Temple, seasonal sets, Zere's Divinity. Storm's on, like, any Storm's on. Hammer Storm's on, Caster Storm's on. Hammer is just kind of rough. Caster Storm's on. Shit's on, like, everything up through, like, Skos. I can't even begin to tell you how easy it fucking shits on everything. So that's an amazing starter set. Snake Pit, Snoggyson. I think that's a good set. I don't think it's the best, but it's free. Big Game Hunter. So that's for Throwbarb. Throwbarb has a really good set. And it's a good build overall. So if you were thinking of something where you can, like, play the build, get the set, and then transition to a later build within the same, archetype, then you can. This is Druid Seer. I don't play Druid Seer. I'm pretty sure it's strong. I think it's probably one of the stronger Druids comparatively. But I don't see a lot of people play it, but the set's there. Tower Lords. I am never going to play totems in any game that I ever play in my life, so no comment. But last I saw, this can do Skos, like, in the set pretty easily. Synodades, that's Pal Fire, but I think it's the melee version of it that uses Retaliate. So I don't know. I think that's a good build. And then Monks for Children, we have what is in one of the top 5 sets, probably in the whole game, right? For doing content. The second you get this set, you're just blasting through FOSS. You don't even have to do anything. I'm going to say pretty recently, I mean, you can do Skos in the set. You can do Samael in this set, which is crazy. But it's a great set. Lightning Sword's very fast. It's fast, dude. It's just fast. It's so fast. It's a zoomer. So those are your sets for the season. I'll just kind of cover these because you can figure them out. I'll only comment if they're notable. This isn't bad at all. This isn't too bad. These guys hit hard, so just that's kind of rough, but you can do it. That's easily doable. Easily doable. That's better than the last trophy. That's kind of rough for melee. This is, I mean, still a shitty trophy, but I would rather do this and run around in a circle a little bit, or just reset till I don't get desynced, than actually complete 60 of these. So, hell yeah. This sucks for melee, but it's doable. It just kind of sucks. This is huge. This saves you hours of trying to get a good charm. So, thank you, devs, for that. That's sick. That's easy. That's his meteor. You can see it from a mile away. That's easy. That's also kind of sucks for melee. It's much better for AoE build, but it's doable. This is doable. This is awesome, where there's no time frame to get the class bonus. So, thank you, salute. This, oh no, that's dope. This sucks for melee. You're gonna have a hard time doing this until you're like so overgeared. Doable, but you know, not everything is good at everything. So just let you know that's one to watch out for. That's doable. So the sleep's interesting. So with the sleep, right? You can have your one charm already upgraded. Say we're doing Zazax. You can have your Zazax charm already upgraded. All you need to do is run Zazax again with the sleep in your inventory or in your cube or whatever dungeon, and as long as you still have that gold circle when the boss is killed, like you completed the challenge, you cube the sleep and it gives you that same bonus. That would be adding a trophy. So once again, saves so much time, especially for the sleep too. So that's huge. Thank you, devs. Fine. Poison. Always strong. That's better. That's kind of rough, but it's doable. I mean, that's just the void, you know. This is good. This you need high DPS, but you can do it. I never gonna look at that. That's cool for readability, so you know if you're not outside. So this animation rework is gigantic, and let me tell you, almost every class had a few weapons that were usable on them, but were non-meta due to frame data. Because if you can't attack fast enough or block fast enough, you're not doing enough damage, you're not going to kill anything. So if an item could exist for it, and you just couldn't actually use it. So every class got huge buffs. And I'll tell you one example of one, and you could read through these, but the other thing that's huge is the block frames. So not a lot of people got block frames down to like 2 or 3 before, and now I think most classes get to 2, which is huge, because block speed has always sucked. But we'll get to these and then we'll get to the examples. So Zon got cast speed, 2 hands on. There is like 1 2 hands on. I don't know if 8 FPA is low enough to play it, but it's something. Block 2 FPA, great. Spirit, this is a nerf to last season's Celestia set, where you can do Great Hunt, or what? Samael and like everything in the set. You can still probably do it in the set. It's just not such an outlier and overperforming. Still a great build. Fun build if you like Flicker Strike, but had it toned down a little bit. Assassin has like this is an example I was going to say, like Shadow Saber, which is the crystal sword that gives a plus to all your ways and stuff like that. And it gives you a ton of absorb. Cool idea, but you couldn't use it, right? Because 8 FPA on a one hand, you're not going to get anything. So this actually gets like super competitive. And on most builds for that attack, I mean, 6 FPA is where you want to be. I don't even think much gets below that. Maybe like Super Beast or I don't know. There's some weird shit, but 6 is great. So now if you want to play one-hand assassin with swords and things like that, you're chilling. That's okay. I don't think you're gonna do that. Let's see. Oh no. Cast. Yeah. Okay. That's all standard. Here we go. Most of the classes get this too. Your block speed, because it takes a lot to hit too. Most classes now have way lower block speed required than higher. So great benefit. Shields are good. Shields are better than shields were already great. Shields are better than they used to be now. Sison, this is a legit cool build. You get a huge heal. And it's much stronger than it used to be. This used to not be playable for a while. It was like overperforming like years ago, and then they got nerfed or whatever. This is now playable, and it does a shitload of damage if you min-max it. So, Sison enjoyers, rejoice. Claw, Anthema. So, one, this is very important because ATMG got a huge rework this season, and ATMG like works really good on Assassin with all the shit she has going on. But because they removed the lock here, you can now use Anthema with a projectile skill like ATMG or another turret or some other like attack projectile turret type of thing. There's a couple, but this is huge. Gives you the cap you kind of need for ATMG and stuff. So this is great. This is a big plus. Throws in, I think this is fine. This change is cool. This, there's an IED throwing knife that came out. So IED Throsin is totally a thing, and with all the life on striking, does a lot of damage and heals you a lot. That's great. Barb, I don't know about crossbow barb, but you know, 2 FPA, good cast speed. It just went up because it lost 2 frames, so that's great. Earthquake's fine. Earthquake's always really strong. So, Elementalist, that's nothing. Bow Druid is living better. It's a good build. It's a little clunky, but it's got another frame, so that's great. Druids are happy. Were Owl, some frame improvements, nothing too crazy. That's nothing. That's nothing. So Twisted Claw rework. This is actually kind of a big thing. So Twisted Claw was one of the best single target skills in the game, but it had a ramping time for the tornadoes to stack up the damage over X amount of seconds before it was like performing, and you stacked a bunch on top of each other, right? Like you were creating a giant death tornado with all these other stacked tornadoes. So this is like instant, right? So it results in maybe a little less damage overall, but it's so huge because on any boss that moves or teleports or anything, when you start single targeting them again, your damage is right up to where it needs to be. So there are some cases where this is a little worse. 9 out of 10 times, this is much better, and Werewolf needed some love, so. Necro. I don't know anything about that. This is a nerf. I don't care what anyone said. This was one of the best voice lines in the game, and I'm gonna miss it. R.I.P. To Drash, who made the Help Us Necro guide. Malice, fine. That's fine. Actually, that's good, but I don't think Death Lord's very used. This had to get toned down. Death Effigy was so strong, and the people who played it, I forget if it was last league or the league before, it was like one of the strongest builds in the game, and absolutely shitting things like 2 screens away. So that got nerfed. It's still works, right? But the damage is less, but that's fine because it was crazy. But you're not going to off-screen things from, 4 screens away. So that got nerfed. Hope you played it last league. If not, you can still totally play it. It's a very, very fun build. Nighthawks. Nighthawks got a huge buff. This is they didn't deal anywhere near the damage that they were supposed to do, and they fixed what was messing that up on the back end of the season. So Nighthawks are great. So you can play minions, or if you're gonna do minions or just only Nighthawks. This is a build that you couldn't play before because the damage was shit, and it's playable now. So definitely check that out if you like Necro. Paladin, good. Oh, about Paladin. There's gotta be something there. But just the FPA things. That's weird. I never saw that. FPA things. There's something there, but I'm not smart enough to think of it. Generic stuff for Sork, though. No crazy changes. Sork's always just, in a good spot. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's just pretty okay, but playing Sork, you can fit almost any type of build into Sorceress because she gets so much free Coven stuff, so that's fine. Havoc damage reduced 10. That's fine. People didn't know. Havoc actually still did a ton of damage if you scaled for it. It's just it has that 2-second cooldown. So a lot of people turned away from playing it. But it still does a ton of damage. You could totally play Havoc. It just had to be turned down a little bit because it was doing a couple 100k per Havoc, which is really good for a skill that you cast and then you just move away. Arcane Swarm, damage nerf. That's fine. This was one of the best performing skills in the game last season. Even though it's expensive as shit to get going, it did need to be tuned down. This was the build to first kill Nithogar last season. OA is huge this year. OA is totally playable. It's viable. It's fun. It got buffed. There's items that buff it. It's fantastic. So if you want to play OA, this is the season to do it. Although there's going to be a lot of competition for the item that works with that, since a lot of people are going to want to play this. It's a SSSU, so it's super rare. So if you want to play this, just know you're going to have some competition. You might have to shell out a little bit of your TG for this. ATMG is cool as shit now. ATMG is playable. It's got a cool new interaction. This little Deadly Strike or innate thing was the Anthema thing I was talking about earlier with Assassin. You can play this since it's on the O skill gloves, right? And I'm pretty sure it has a relic too. You can play this on any class. So think of it as if you can get the scaling vectors, right? It could be like a mini cherubim and stuff. It's fun. I highly recommend trying it out this season because it has not really been playable. It is now. Turret Joyers, rejoice. Flash. Oh, shit. Oh, never mind. This actually makes it more viable. It had a really large spread of lightning damage. That's whatever. This flash is kind of weird, but this is huge. This is what I was talking about. These are also way more playable now. because in addition to getting them on a relic, you can also get them on the O skill gloves. So almost basically anyone can play this with low entry costs, and minion Pierce is easy to get because Pierce for you is easy to get. So huge. If you like minions, these three do really, really cool things. So I would definitely check these out. Clear Mind, that had to get nerfed. Guided Chain, I didn't try it. What the fuck? This actually is better though. The target, it actually kind of goes like a portion of your screen. I don't think you see. So that's like your O skill kind of multi-hitter thing. Try it out. It's cool. Banish is fine. It's still Banish. Banish is really, really good for multi-hitting skills. It's just now you could get Banish on gloves, so you don't need a relic or something. I don't know what Manatine Totem does. I don't know what this does. So, weirdly enough, Cherubin, which is probably one of the best and most sought out skills in the game, one, because only paladins can get it unless you have a relic, and that relic is expensive as shit, and it lets melee classes essentially function as ranged. Has a little buff later in the patch notes. We're about to get to him, but the rich get richer. Time Wave looks cool. It's like a giant green circle, but it just deals delayed damage, but like it covers your whole screen. But this is important for an item later that we'll talk about. So these gloves, these are huge. We need to spend some time here, right? So when it says nearly all O skills from the pool, I want to say there's shit, what is it? Like maybe 5 or something that are omitted. But you can get all the cool shit that you've ever thought of to get like from another class or whatever on these gloves, right? So this works good for if you wanted to play, say, Chaotic Spark, right? But you didn't want to do it on a Sorceress or a Paladin. Maybe you want to do it on a Stormzon or something. There was no way for you in the game to be able to do that. With these gloves, you can get Chaotic Spark on the gloves. So that's from a Sorka Paladin item. Gloves can roll them all. You can get things like Blood Fury, which is a very, very good spell buff, right? That's on Sorceress, Orbs, and Zon Shields. You can get Blood Fury on these gloves now. If you were already using an O skill from a relic or, Orb of Alienation or something like that, well, now you got an extra 10, 20 skill levels on that skill just by wearing these gloves. So if you were already going to use an O skill, these gloves are best in slot for whatever you use. Secondly, if you weren't going to use an O skill and maybe you can drop your glove slot, maybe it's not that important, this is basically a free relic, right? Because it can roll anything. I mean, there's stuff on there that I don't even know is in the game. I don't think... Crazy. But they're very rare. This is an understatement. You'll spend a while here getting them. And this drop rate's low is really low. So these are going to be pricey. You're going to have to grind to get them. But if you know what you're doing in the game and you want to do some cool shit or you want to cook, you have some stuff you've been cooking but you've never been able to do it because X, Y, or Z, these gloves probably let you do it. Flying Kinzel. Okay, so this is dope because you have a cold IED throwing knife. I don't think any cold IED weapons that aren't crystal swords. So this gives you essentially what would be a projectile version of projectile IED. You can also get hella life on striking with these, which life on striking is generally way better than life leech if you use a multi-hitting skill. I did play with these. I tried them out, and I think I was doing ATMG with these gloves, but with this dagger, and ATMG hits a lot, and I was just basically always topped up. So if you can use a throwing knife, and you can want to do an IED build that throws, these are huge, and people were killing some endgame bosses like really fast with these. Less than 2 minutes. I'm talking like some endgame bosses. So totally cool thing. Check it out. It's fun. And it's always glad to see when they add new build enabling things in the game, because I think that's what this game needs, right? Like just cool build enabling stuff that you couldn't actually do before, and both of these two items do that. There's a item missing. I don't know if I don't remember what this is. This is cool. This is cool. This is... If you thought you were rich before, stonks went up, man. You sold your shares. You need more money. This is cool. Bow users. Bow users, you are happy. You are happy because you can get innate damage and pierce on it. So you couldn't get any of these if you're using Sunstrike. You now you got some extra fire pierce. If you're using Trinity Arrow or whatever, Barrage or something, you can get all the stats for it. This is also good for Druid. It's good for any bow user. Quivers generally sucked before, and quivers were just UMO space to fill out whatever you needed on it. Quivers are actually good now and have good affixes. So, thanks, guys. Crossbow. That was nothing. This is funny, but it doesn't matter because the shields can roll all skills. So, okay, these two. These are sick. So, part of the problem about playing IED builds, which is innate elemental damage, is you cannot leech because you don't have fizz, which meant most of these people had to resort to life after kill, or life on striking, which is totally hard to find for them to sustain. Now you get a chance to do life spark on hit, which is it grants a percentage of your life based on the level of the skill on hit. So basically this reads as 4% chance to regain 10% of your life on melee attack, or 1% to cast, or sorry, 1% chance to gain 4% of your life on striking. Bow skills already hit a lot. This is huge. IED enjoyers are gonna be partying. Cross pouch. That's cool. Wait, that's sick. This was like almost never used, but it's the helmet that gives you magic AoE attack. I think you use it on like Necro and stuff, but this item was like literally never used by anyone. So it got some big buffs, so that's stoked. It's a strength stacking thing though. This is totally usable in builds. It just was on the weaker side compared to other options. So good buff there is good. This is cool. That makes it just so it's can be a generic cold helmet. You can use it with like attacks, right? Like instead of minions and stuff. Aiden's was not used very much outside of like Weird a couple seasons ago. So buffs here are good. This is a good item if you do demon scaling and stuff like that, but a buff here is good. This is actually sick. This is another item that was almost never used. You get 2 all max res, a shitload of extra lightning damage. It's cool. That's better because this was weird that it was required item level 120 and required 130. So this is just another option for physical damage stuff going. This is cool. So a season or 2 ago, Death Ripple got they changed how it scales to where you need 2 enhancements in order to make it do like the double overlap AoE and shoot twice per cast. And that was, you were only able to get that on Necro because it came out last season. Because Necro had 1 in the tree, and you could get 1 from Shield, Necro Shield, or you can get 1 from a Relic. The only way, this is a Sork Orb that gives Death Ripple. So at max, Sork used to be able to get only 1 Death Ripple enhancement, which was from the Relic. Now you can have 2 Death Ripple enhancements. So you can play Death Ripple, which actually gives Sork a really good, viable PMSD, physical magic spell damage option, and you can cosplay as Neck. I know, it's cool, man. Just underused items get buffed. This is sick. This is one of the sickest things you'll ever see. So they reworked this item. It was huge. It was like barely used. Even when people found it. And now it's sick. It's fun. It has a lot of variants. Let's see if I have shit. Here. This is a... fuck it. I'll come back to it in a second. Basically, it's 1 staff. You corrupt it. It cannot fail to corrupt. Every time you corrupt it, it adds a huge, like, crazy bonus. 10 Fizz Res, 20% attributes. But you can't control what corrupts it gets. Every time you corrupt it, it goes up a level. So, 10 max. So, you can theoretically corrupt it 10 times and just be the luckiest person on the planet and get, like, plus 40 to all skills, right? But that's not likely to happen. Maybe you get 50% spell damage and, 2 of these and 1 of this or 1 of this. So it's really hit or miss whether it does hit or anything. And maybe you get shit that doesn't even go together, right? Like, I don't know. But there's some cool combinations. You just have to get lucky and roll with what you got or sell what you got. But this is a sick item. It's fun to play with. Cold Blood. This is huge. This is huge. So this is a buff to Werewolf and to Ellie Melee Sorceress. So Cold Werewolf generally had 2 options, which was like Fizz, which was shit, and then there was Mana Wolf, which is a huge investment. It's good, but that was like the only 2 ways to play Wolf because this item used to suck. So this gives Wolf the ability to play strictly cold IED Cold Wolf, right? This functions as a cold crystal sword. So if you want to play Cold Wolf, now you can. It's a pretty easy to find item. Plus it's pretty cool. Blizzard looks cool. It doesn't do a lot, but it does scale off spell damage, so that's why they added spell damage. It's an on-striking proc, so it's cool with Harbinger and stuff like that. And then, good item. Huge buff. Also, IED Sorceress was kind of in a bad melee Sorceress was kind of in a bad spot because she didn't really have an option for it. I think there was like Starhawk, but that's Tri Ellie, and that requires building weird shit. And she has support in the tree for this. So not only does she get a thing to be cold IED, but using specifically a crystal sword in her tree. Actually, shit, I might have it pulled up here. Hello. Okay, well that's not gonna pull up. But when you use a crystal sword, not a warp blade, which is what Starhawk was, Sork also gets a 3 glacial volley proc. That's like glacial volley from D2. It's like a ranged little 3 projectiles that go out and hit shit, and they pierce. So just cold ID Sork as an option. It has a sword for it. The tree has support for it, but there was no item support for the tree. So that's playable now. It's actually a cool build, and it's way easier to gear than Tri Ellie. You only have to focus on one element. SBS, it's fine. That's fine. Don't think, yeah, you weren't going to turn into Super Beast for forever with it. This is huge. This is a underused item that got completely reworked. I don't know who suggested this, thanks to Trash or to Lucas or to Mags or someone. Basically, get to a certain amount of one of these O skills, and you get a bunch of cool shit. It gives really huge fist damage. It gives PR. It has no ED, but you get a ton of PR. You get a ton of fist damage reduction. And if you play any one of these skills, like that cool one that just got reworked, or these two, which are some of the best skills in the game, you have a super dope option. So, cool armor. It's not super rare. Fun thing. Check it out. Hellmouth. Oh, that's nice. Fire Sorks may be more popular this season. Sorry, Zon. Maybe popular. That's cool. Oh, this is getting a little long here. This. Oh, maybe it's not. This got nerfed. This is the best item in the game for when you can get it and like how easy it was to find. As you got 2 all max res, right? So it got nerfed. It makes sense. It had existed in like almost best in slot until super late for most builds for far too long. So, oh yeah, so that's why those other small items got a buff. So that way you don't have to use a set item that's not even for a set for a build that you use or whatever. You can actually get some max res out of an item that works specifically for your build. And another small nerf to Spears on. She needed it. That shit was ridiculous. It's still a great build, and it's still great in the set. Oh, hey, that's another buff to not using a Witch Hunter. Man, meeting XL devs, you guys are so nice to us. I just want to let you know. This, I don't know what the fuck. That's fine, I guess. I don't know what 2-hand Barbarian Axe does. I guess that's for the Earthquake build or whatever. That's fine. That's cool, but dude, don't play this. Don't even try. Don't even think. Don't even consider thinking about trying to play Hurricane. That's cool. It kind of sucks-ish, but it doesn't matter because we have Banish on the gloves. So we're kind of running out of time here. We're gonna oh, I'm gonna take these gloves off, dude. So these are gloves. You can see it on the page. There's tons of cool stuff. These will eat your shrines. I mean, just because of the sheer amount of different affixes that exist, it's so hard to get the one item, one skill you want, right? Plus, you're clicking on your thing, you're staring at the whole time, so it's very hard to find. But then it's even harder to get the roll for stats your build wants. Like, okay, so you're playing Chaotic Spark, but you want, some caster affixes, and roll with some shitty attack affixes. So it will eat shrines, but just go to this page, check it out. Theorycraft. So cool. Probably the coolest thing I remember in a while. We talked about trophy challenges. Yep. So these, wait. Make sure I'm not doing any leaks here. Okay, I'm not doing any leaks here. So, Scrolls of Enchantment. What are Scrolls of Enchantment, and what do they mean to me? Well, these were around back in patch 1.8, which I think was the patch before I started playing, which was patch 2.0. And they just did a bunch of cool shit. And you can just add it on top of your gear. Think of it like a labyrinth enchant from Path of Exile, how they used to be, you know? You just enchant your rings with an extra free stat that doesn't screw up the item at all. So you can get some of these scrolls in the event. So let's look at what some of these scrolls are. Whoa! You can get chance to corrupting vines on Deathblow on the hammer? Good. Weapon. That's really strong. Gloves. Life Spark on striking, which is really strong. 2,000% of innate LE damage added as bonus. So you can see some of these are so strong. With what they give and what they do, and it doesn't hurt your build at all unless there's like a weird little like drawback thing. It's just free stuff. And some of these are really build enabling, so you're definitely going to want to be doing some stuff, right? So good luck, good hunting, and these scrolls are cool. And I will put the list to old scrolls. I don't know which are in the game, but there were some old scrolls from that season. I'll post a link in the description below. Lastly, point of no return. So that stuff I was talking about, you corrupt it, it adds one mod at a time as you corrupt it. So let's look at 2 here. So you mostly want this item if you're playing Orb of Annihilation, because it gives you 25 to it. You can get, you know, other 25 attributes, mana, Fizz Res. Like, this is Jesus Christ. Look, this is a great roll. But you can see it has Orb of Annihilation does not use elemental resistance at all. So it's got 2 dead mods. Everything else is God tier. That's, you know, that can happen, right? Well, let's look at another one that's God tier. Well, this one doesn't have a lot to all skills or mana or things that Orb of Annihilation like, but everyone likes max res. Most caster builds love spell damage and pen, so 20% life. You get a lot of free defensive stats and damage just for using this. So if you get it, maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe you'll find some cool stuff. These are